best I can tell, we're recording. I think we are. Hey, everybody. Man, it's been a good weekend.
Pretty good.
Got rid of the boys.
Saw a movie.
For almost a full day. Saw a movie.
Tarantino.
Tarantino, yeah, good stuff. I don't know how giddy I am tonight, though. That's how geeky we are. You know, we get rid of the boys and we spend the whole time coding.
Yes.
And then
yes,
we've been off in our own separate corners coding and then
sending files to one another.
Yeah, exactly, across the room.
This one's done. Email.
And then watching Stand By Me. Hasn't been a really giddy evening, has it?
No, but kind of relaxing.
Yeah, it's been relaxing once the boys went to bed.
I wanted to get that, and the girl was really hanging on. Anyway, okay, so enough about that. What are we talking about?
Well, I thought tonight we would talk about.
No. Oh God,
no.
Not that.
Okay. Well, how about we talk about
Okay.
really instead?
Yeah.
Okay. So I thought we would talk about interviewing.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that this week.
Yeah, and not really interviewing as much as the process of interviewing and things to do and what not to do in an interview.
Bathe, brush
brush your hair. Have the recruiter drive you there to make sure you get there all right.
Don't drop the F-bomb more than 3 times when you meet the receptionist.
Exactly. So we're not going to go over that kind of stuff. I thought we would talk about the whole everything that happens and anyway, what happens when you have a really, really good interview and you still don't get the job?
Okay, I'm waiting to see where this goes.
Well, yeah, me too. Okay, so I'll tell you a story, and hopefully it'll be a really, really long one.
Oh, this is going to be good. I can tell.
I know, right? Oh, sorry, guys.
Oh, it's
time. It's midnight. Say we've got our official DBA's at midnight clock right there. So, okay. I went to an interview at this place once, and the guy who had been brought in as the DBA manager, like a couple months before, was just absolutely thrilled we had our interview, and he was just absolutely thrilled. And so I went on to meet the VP. And the VP was a really, really nice guy, and we hit it off right away, and he was a big fan of mine, actually, from InfoWorld.
Oh, well.
He got the magazine for years. He'd been following my blog for years. He'd read several of my stories. Absolutely thrilled to meet me. We had an excellent conversation for like an hour and a half. We just non-stop and didn't run out of anything to talk about. He was just phenomenally pleased that I would even consider going there. And I still didn't get the friggin' job. And I'm like, and that's not the first time I've walked away and said I've got this job sewn up.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Another time, and this was even bigger.
That was the VP.
Yeah.
Okay, carry on.
So the 2 bosses in charge of hiring loved me to death, and I still didn't get the job.
Maybe they were faking it.
Good fakers.
Yeah.
All right. And that's the thing is recruiters I say recruiters, but when they turn you down for gigs, they never really bother offering you any real explanation as to why. I never did get any kind of even half-ass explanation why. No matter how much you hit them, they just say no and move on. And I think, really, if you take that kind of time with somebody, that you at least owe them something.
In my experience, I've been able to get some feedback the times that I've asked. And, you know, sometimes it's the recruiter blowing smoke up your ass, but sometimes I felt like I actually got something back. So
a couple times
ask.
I have.
Maybe they can go and ask, especially if they
Yeah.
have a deep relationship with the client.
Yeah. Yeah, you hear that a lot, don't you?
A lot, yeah.
Oh, to my other story. This one will be a lot shorter.
Okay.
It was an international company looking for a DBA, with international skills and bilingual, and they had a lot of databases in Europe, and the DBA manager was getting tired of making that trip to Europe 3 times a year.
Yeah, that totally sucks.
Yeah, specifically to their Italian and French branches.
Ew.
And I spoke very good French at the time. I'm not bad now, but I spoke very good French at the time. and I was the best DBA by far, she told me, and went all the way up to her and the DBA and the VP again, who also was really looking. I mean, they both said I was a godsend, because you don't find anybody, quote, as good as me who can also speak foreign languages and likes foreign travel, and I didn't get that job either. So you never know what these people are thinking. So, you know, and Shin right now, for those of you who aren't following along inside my head, she's my sister who lives in New York. I have just decided, through lots of things going around in my head.
Yes, carry on. So Shin...
And so Shin, she's had a couple really good interviews recently, and didn't get the job. I mean, like, really, really good interviews. And it's just astounding, you know? So really the kind of topic is, what the hell, and don't take it personally, you know?
This is a weird direction to take this in, but I'm sitting here listening to these stories, and all I can think about, I just read Will Wheaton's book, Just a Geek.
Okay.
And he talks about this huge stretch, I mean years, after Star Trek and after he took some time off for acting school. He wanted to really, you know, get his chops strong. This huge stretch of time where he could not book a gig for years. And it always came down to one of two situations. Either they would decide on him the second he walked in the door, or it would come down to him and another guy, and they always went with the other guy, even when they said, "You're the best actor for the job." And it turned out he wasn't edgy enough. There was some nefarious quality. That's not the word, isn't it? Nebulous quality. Nefarious quality.
Well, maybe, you know, when the right part comes along.
No. That,
you need somebody else to play Lore.
Yes, no. But yeah, so that's just what's got me thinking of that. And he did get a lot of feedback, and it was always that. And I'm wondering if there's some sort of weird nebulous thing going on with IT people, either. And the first thought when you said you were interviewing with the actual VP was, you know, maybe.
What did you say now?
Yeah, sure. Somebody decided that they didn't need the position, or something where, you know, there's some sort of my nephew needs the job, so we're giving it to him, or, you know, some sort of nebulous thing. But, you know, and we must eventually assume that it does have something to do with you, then I don't know. Maybe you're not edgy enough.
Maybe I'm not edgy enough. Yeah, maybe.
Pretty edgy.
Yeah, that's what I'm told a lot. Is you're just not edgy enough.
You're not edgy enough.
You just don't exude the confidence that we feel a DBA should be extruding through his.
Oh,
from
no!
his
End that
body.
sentence right now. Stop talking.
But yeah, so like one of the things I've been telling Shin a lot lately is, you know, don't take that kind of thing personally, because, you know, there's so much that goes on, and you know, I've been doing a lot of hiring throughout the years, so it's not like I'm, you know, a babe on the other side of the table either, right? So, but there's so much that goes on. I mean, I can have a great interview with somebody and love talking to them and think they really, really would do a good job, and just, you know, maybe something keeps you from hiring them, like you know, they move around a lot and you're looking for somebody more permanent, or maybe, you know, at the last second somebody says, you know, it sure would be nice to have somebody with this skill set, and this other guy who wasn't, you know, as good at him as
Sure.
he was with all of the other stuff, but he has this other skill set, so he's broader, so you take him.
The definition of the position changes.
Yeah. Oh, that happens all the time, right? One of my favorite ones is when it changes between the recruiter and the interview. And I've actually had that happen to me before I became a good developer, right? And you know what I mean. But before I became any kind of developer at all, I mean, I was strictly an admin guy, right? And that happened to me a few times when I would answer a strict admin gig, and then the recruiter would screen me for an admin gig, and then I would go in for the interview and get 100% dev questions.
That's always fun.
Yeah, and after like the 10th one, I'd stop him and go, "What the hell's going on? I mean, this is supposed to be an admin gig. That's what it said." He goes, "Oh, well, we've changed the position." Well, why don't you tell a guy that, you know?
What's better is when you've got a recruiter that's just desperate to put you somewhere because, you know, that's how they make money. I had one recruiter just this last round of job shopping.
Yeah,
Before
so
I got
you're
this
fresh
current
off the
gig.
market, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a weird situation because I had come down to the wire. I had this great interview, and they had offered me the job on the way home, and I had another interview scheduled for that afternoon.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah, and that was the one where I was calling her up and saying, look, this looks like a pretty good gig, and the recruiter went ahead and convinced me that this was closer and it was better paid, it was going to be a better fit, and I'm like, okay, I'll go ahead and do the interview and let them know I've got a job hanging on the hook right now, so if we can move fast. Yeah, I got in there and I want a dev gig, and they were asking me nothing but admin questions and clustering and thing, and that's yeah, I can do that. That's not what I'm looking for right now.
Right.
And after a few questions, we very politely managed to say, you know what, we're really not right for each other, so I'm going to let you go. But in that particular case, it was, I'm sure, crystal clear to the recruiter that this was the kind of position, and I guess she figured that the money would sway me, or
I
something.
guess. I'm having a little trouble concentrating right now. The dog's licking my foot. She just stopped. But she's down there licking my foot through that whole thing, and it's like really hard to.
It's
really
okay.
hard
You've
to
heard
think
the
with
story.
that
It was
going
mostly
on.
for their benefit anyway.
Yeah, for a second there, I
assume,
thought I was back in the office.
I assume most of the time you're not listening to me.
Yeah, well,
And they get so mad. You didn't tell me that.
Yeah, I know, right?
Back to the point.
Yeah, well, and and I'm having such a hard time not turning this into the original recruiters are evil topic, because
I was quite happy with the recruiter that got me my current gig.
yeah, I
I was
have
very
had a
happy.
couple recruiters I've been happy with. But in my stint in IT, which is almost 20 years, having a couple recruiters you were happy with is not a good ratio,
No.
right?
No.
So we're going to do recruiter horror stories some
Another
other
time,
time.
yeah.
Because, and I can already feel this train
Yeah,
just
I've got a
derailing,
couple of
right?
mine
It's like,
going up. Oh, there was this one time.
Yeah, I know,
Moving on.
right?
Send us your stories. Let us know. We'll
absolutely.
read a few of them on
yeah,
these guys.
we'll ignore them the same way we do each other.
So, things.
So things. So yeah. So to kind of bring this around to something that's actually a discussion, right? What do you think are some things that you could say to like a VP or to a hiring manager that would make them change their minds?
Oh, see, that's not where I thought you were going. Excellent. Well, I guess it depends on how you mean that. Do you mean for the better or for the worse?
Well, I mean either one, but let's talk about for the worst right now, because I'm a negative kind of guy. So
Well, I mean, you listen to Kid Craddock and some of the fake interviews that they send their guys on, and that stuff is just brilliant. There's all kinds of stuff,
but I mean in a serious interview kind of thing.
Oh, okay. Well, why would you want to turn someone to the negative in an interview?
Maybe you just felt like you needed a better challenge.
Some of the things to avoid saying in an
Yeah,
interview.
yeah. Don't make comments about any of the pictures on their desk. I think that's kind of
Yeah, that's a bad
boy,
start.
she sure is hot.
Whoa, look at the rack on that. That's my daughter. Sorry, I've made that mistake. It's a really big problem.